Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank. He's there, and William Freeland, and we're here to talk Leaf Talk. Leaf Talk involves talking about the Maple Leafs, of course, which is the obvious during the regular season, the National Hockey League, and the home team, at least in the community that we live. Closest to the place we live is, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. But we also talk about other things like the Canadian Football League, which does respect the Maple Leaf, as does some of the teams in sports like the Toronto Raptors. And, of course, today, the PWHL, as usual, is something we talk about. And every so often, we'll throw the Jays in. So we've got a lot to talk about on tennis players that are Canadian and how they're doing on the international stage. So here he is, Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, so what's new, buddy?
Well, things have actually warmed up a little bit here. I don't know about you, but we actually got some of our snow to disappear.
We got to the last year. My statement for how cold it was all winter, we never got past the last layer of snow. It didn't get melted because when the layer of snow that you just got melts, you get all the road crap shows up on the top. So black and ugly and filthy looking snow. Last year, we had no ugly, filthy looking snow. All we had was snow that was pristine, clean, and not, virgin snow. So this year, for the first time, today, we're driving on the roads beside this dirty snow, and I'm going, it's warm out. In other words, there's a melting process. So at least you lose some of the snow that falls, right?
No, that's true.
So all well and good. Fantastic stuff. The world is all good, especially because Austin Matthews had a goal and an assist in a game that had a lot of Leaf fans rankled. 2-0. A callback goal could have made it worse. The team was celebrating one of the biggest icons in Maple Leafs lore, and Jim Bowen, of Mackinac fame. It was his night. You would have thought that, hey, it's Joe's night. Let's have some real good fun. Well, they did eventually, but it really did leave some people hanging a little bit.
And, after they had him into the dressing room to do the lineup read, and then they had a brief speech by Brad Treliving extolling the virtues of Joe Bowen, and then again had him out onto the ice, as a centerpiece of a retrospective, a miniature retrospective, and then tribute video that they would have tried to, I don't know, maybe play a little harder for the first little while. But, they got booed off the ice at the end of the second period, and then got booed lustily at about the 10-minute mark of the third period. I was actually rather surprised to hear it, before they finally managed to break the ice, as it were. And thank goodness that it finally happened. Spencer Knight had 24 shots in the loss. Dakota Joshua managed to get a beautiful goal, which I don't think anybody expected. Oliver Ekman-Larsson continues his play.
He's the biggest offensive threat on defense.
Yeah, he really is. And I honestly can't say that I'm entirely upset by that, because we do need somebody generating back there that isn't named Riley, who can actually get a shot through for a change. And it doesn't seem to be Riley's specialty this season in getting shots through to the front of the net. It was actually a little surprising for me to see Dakota Joshua score 8 seconds after Matthews did. I don't think anybody expected that. But yeah, Tuvo Teravainen had a goal disallowed with 8:33 left in the first after a video replay ruled that he pushed Wool's pad. I was very concerned for Joseph, mainly because he didn't seem to be getting any run support, at least not until the third period.
He wasn't getting any hits.
You can't wait until that late in the period to finally start to do something, because it's nerve-wracking and upsetting for the fans, as delicate as we are, and at least players acknowledge the fact that the fans were booing. They did mention the fact that we had every right to boo them because of the way that they were playing, and they understood that. I'm just glad they finally gave us something to cheer about. So, there you have it.
My opinion of that game. Well, here's the good stuff that happened in that game. They scored the winning goal. Okay, so let's move on now to Berube and Nylander. Um, So is this the battle between the coach and the star player?
I tend to think of it as more of a gentle ribbing than anything else. I think um, I think both Nylander and Berube know um, how polarizing a figure he can be, how great of a soundbite he can be, and how fantastic of a player he actually is when he's at 100% health and completely turned on. Um, you know, yeah, it didn't help that he turned the puck over, and that led to Chicago's shorthanded goal yesterday. But at the same time, he did assist on Oliver Ekman-Larsson's goal, so there's that kind of mitigates that. But you still rather see him doing more good than bad when it comes to this sort of thing, and it's one of those situations where you got to kind of weigh how much the coach pushes with how much Nylander pushes back or answers the bell.
It's a testament to how much Keith was in line with his general manager at the time, where the players were never made accountable, and when they were made accountable, Keith would retract his statement of accountability. We're seeing now a coach who does not, and it doesn't sound like he will not. He won't say he didn't say what he said. This is the kind of coaching the core four needed when they were young. We saw them get it from Babcock, and they ran Babcock out of town. Let's be clear. They ran Babcock out of town. Whether he deserved it or not is a debate that can be well fought and has a lot of truth in both sides. But this is where they are now. Now they've got a coach who doesn't think there's an excuse for imperfection, that imperfection is something that needs to be eliminated. And you know what? When it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to chasing the Stanley Cup, it's the teams that make the least amount of mistakes that win. As much as the goal scoring and all that other stuff comes into play, great goaltending and a lack of mistakes ultimately is what gets you the cup. Because all the teams can score. They wouldn't be there if they couldn't score.
I think what's most frustrating out of all of this is they can play better. And I don't know how Berube drives it through their thick skulls that they need to be better. But about the only way I can think of him actually doing it would be to leave the bench mid-game and just say, screw it. You guys obviously know so much more about hockey than I do. You can coach yourselves and see how they do. The problem is if he does that, obviously he's going to risk getting fired.
There's no win. There's no win as the coach in that situation.
No, there never is. But there's got to be some other way he can send a message.
The other way,
star players or what?
The other way is essentially doing what he's doing. But here's the problem: will the players take a constructive criticism as it is, right? For what it is, as it is. Or will they look at it and go, hey, dude, I'm doing my thing. What are you complaining about? If that's the attitude that they've given the Leaf organization over the years. Matthews had a goal and an assist. Yay. Hooray. He did what he's paid to do. That's got to be more often. I see a young man comes into play and is injured and can't play because he's got shoulder issues, I guess. Bedard is in on 40% of the goals that are scored by Chicago. 40%.
It's really kind of frightening when you think about it. All of their offense goes through one guy. He is the driver, and once he's gone, that's essentially the Rockford IceHogs. But that's the USHL Chicago Steel.
I personally don't think so. I disagree with that, Aaron. Wow. I think what they are is they're a team without their star. But, a team without their star has an opportunity to show what they can do individually and as a unit, right? And I just think we've seen over the years a team without Matthews has gone on, has played some pretty good hockey. In fact, at a higher percentage rate of wins without him than they have with him, right? So that doesn't float with me. What floats with me is that this kid is in on 40% of the goals. That tells me that he's making a large contribution to that team. Matthews on the other hand, he had a big game. Like when he scores a goal and an assist, right? Tell me 3-4 years ago, that's a big game for Matthews.
No, that's an average game. That's a pedestrian game for him. And that's the problem. He's managed to play himself into a position here where we expect more of him than he can possibly give. And it's going to end up running him out of town. It's going to end up costing him the captaincy. It's going to end up costing him his confidence, really, just because the Toronto fandom expects just so much more than he can give. And he is, unfortunately, only human. This is the way these things work. The physical body has limitations. Expecting Austin Matthews to step up and deliver 2 to 3 points a night is not something that's physically feasible for anybody. The body will start to break down at some point. I mean, he did have a goal on his first shot of the evening. Cool. But at the same time, the expectations that Toronto fans have based on the salary that he demanded for himself now means he's put himself in a position where he can't succeed.
Well, he can, but it requires the kind of work and commitment that a passive guy can't show. Here's the thing. Matthews is a big lumbering guy. He moves pretty quickly. Doesn't look like he's moving quickly because of his size. At the outset of his career, everything came to him easy, right? It came to him easy. Either it's because Marner was a great passer, a great opportunist. But what it comes down to when you get older, when people expect you to be a really good hockey player and they get book on you and they begin to know what your weaknesses and your strengths are, and they know your go-to moves are, they can predict what you're doing. It requires a fundamental change in one's mind on how they operate. They've got to always be thinking of what they can do next, what's best. All the greatest hockey players through time, all the best ones, were the players, and today are the players. The really great ones are the players that think the game all the time, who are always making a plan, and they've already got an answer to the plan if it gets fudged here and there. They've got a reaction. They have a real good, quick on their feet reaction to the situation. The best in that was Wayne Gretzky. It didn't matter how the game went. It could have been a dirty game. It could have been a clean game. Could have been a fast game. Could have been a tight checking game. He figured out how to make an impact on the game. That's what great players do. It doesn't matter how the team's playing because they figure out how to do something positive, right? So, he got a goal and an assist last night. Okay. That means that he hasn't lost it completely. But he still has to help the team dominate and has to distract the other team to an extent where his teammates get opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise get. If he's somebody that can be checked easily one-on-one, right? Then it's just one guy on him. But if he forces a team to double team him, go after him, more than one player go after him, number one, and number two, if he can use his feet to make space, like we see, he'll never see him be, of course, a Connor McDavid. But you see, that's what Connor McDavid does. He makes openings for himself. So he got a goal and assist. Hooray, good for him. He's a dedicated, defensive-minded player. Okay, that sounds good. But he can't, that's not enough for Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews has to be a really good defensive player that scores 40, 50 goals. That's who he has to be. That's who he said he thought he was by asking for the money that he did. So he's got to play up to his contract. There is no excuse for his failure to do that. He has the tools. He's got the money. Let's see what you got, buddy. Let's go. Let's stop the the silly stuff. It's just a good thing that the Maple Leafs, right, play in a city like Toronto, where management at least doesn't have to worry about going broke. Because if they have to worry about going broke, those boos you hear, Aaron, those are empty seats in any other city. They're
Oh,
empty
guaranteed.
seats in
Yep.
other cities.
I mean, they're just lucky that they have the backing that they do. And here's the thing: those empty seats are an indication of how well the Leafs are actually playing hide and seek with their fans. Um, and it's a risky game that they're playing too, because really, I mean, at a certain point, even those corporate seats will end up empty if people aren't motivated to be in them. You know, like I said, they started to get booed at the end of the second period, and really loudly, before they finally managed to break the ice in the third period, about halfway through. And I think some of those guys took it personally, but you can't rely on the crowd to motivate you into playing better, right? Because eventually that crowd is just going to give up on you, and that becomes even worse at the end of the day. So I don't know what they're planning on doing here. I don't know uh, how they can get it to continue. It's really, really frustrating to see this team with that much talent and that much invested in their own players suck so horribly at times.
Well, it's an
I think-
issue that every team falls prey to. Um, the organization is a business. The organization is a business that likes making money. Their willingness to spend money so quickly and at the drop of a hat, if you will, the way they did with the core four, where they gave them what they wanted, they gave into what they wanted. Nylander had the hardest time, and that's because he wanted what was relatively fair to him in comparison to what Matthews and Marner were getting. Let's be clear.
Yep.
You know, he felt he was maybe not as good, but he was X amount less. Well, when you overpay the top guys, the people following that think they deserve a certain amount based on their importance relative to the expensive players. By the time you get to the bottom of the roster, there's no money left. We learned that to be true. We learned it to be true. So now it's a question of the organization has to make some decisions. And we saw the Vancouver Canucks make a decision. They traded their captain. Not because he wasn't a good player. It's that he wasn't good enough in the position that they needed him to be in. And they felt that he was a little distracted by the fact that he virtually was hoping, and he said it out loud, that he wanted to play with his brothers in New Jersey. I mean, you can't have that be your captain, right?
No.
So at the end of the day, just because you're the captain doesn't make you invincible. That's my point. So precedent is set that a captain can be traded, right? Past captains can be a disappointment. We look in Winnipeg, where a past captain is a disappointment. Coming out of there is he's not their former captain of the Blackhawks is not working out the way they had hoped. You know, maybe he's not as healthy as he needs to be. Maybe he's not as good as he used to be. And the fact is, the team right now is not playing well. And so what happens is players have to get traded, because you just can't wait for players to be valuable. If they're not going to be valuable to you, then if you can get an asset for them, do it. For me, with Matthews, I'm ready to cash the chips on Matthews personally. I'm ready. But if they're going to trade him, the problem is, are they going to have to hang on to some of the cap space? I say no. So at the end of the day, the Leafs are in a terrible position right now. There's no pressure coming from the minors or from junior or from draft picks. They know, the players that are here know there's nobody going to be competing for them. And nothing's worse for making a team better than a lack of competition.
Oh, for sure. And uh, the other thing that they have to factor into is how much of a boat anchor that contract is, and right now it's one of the things that's weighing them down the most. So At the end of the day, they really have hoisted themselves on their own petard by trying to attract the most attractive of players and get the best deal, quote unquote, possible for them. Who knows? Maybe by the time this contract expires, Matthews will realize that never mind, because we know that's not going to happen. He's not going to take a discount until he's on the tail end of his career and he recognizes it, like John Tavares did.
Well, John Tavares, I think, is a decent enough guy, works hard enough, makes the effort, but, effort is only worth so much. Success is success. That's what we're talking about here. So one of the successes for the Leafs is a young player named Nylander, who's in the minors with the Marlies, who's has played some pretty good games recently, and he hasn't given up on making it to the NHL, Aaron.
No, he certainly hasn't. Part of his goal, as he's stated over and over and over again, every single opportunity he gets, if he wants to play again in the National Hockey League, preferably with the Leafs, and preferably with his older brother, Willie. When you're playing on an AHL contract, anybody can sign you, but he says he wants to play for the Leafs. I want to prove to them that I can play up there and I deserve an NHL contract by playing well. It's a big opportunity for him in the AHL right now, too, to show, how mentally tough he is by staying clued in with the team and linked in with the team. And, he signed an AHL deal with the Marlies in 2024. He also signed a 1-year contract with the club and skated in 5 games, but recorded no points in 2024-25. In 126 career NHL games, he had 25 goals and 245 assists with Buffalo, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and the Leafs. In 22 games with the Marlies so far this season, he's tied for 3rd in team scoring with 16 points. That's 7 goals and 9 assists. He's been playing very well. He's been very consistent. He's had some really exciting goals for the Marlies, too. Saw him score 1 on the breakaway a couple weeks back. He has 5 points in his last 5 games with the Marlies right now. Headed into a weekend home set against the Belleville Senators, who actually fired their head coach on Wednesday. That's another story. But he is trending towards eventually, fingers crossed, breaking the lineup for the Leafs.
Let's talk about the PWHL and the Golden Eyes.
Yeah, so the Golden Eyes held strong. Their goalie, Campbell, played really well in a 2-1 win over the Ottawa Charge. They're now perfect at home. They've become the first PWHL team to win their first 3 home games. Kirsten Campbell played superb for them. Had a chance to catch it on the tube. They've got the games everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic to see. The good thing to see was that Campbell was really good at communicating clearly with her defense and directing traffic in front of the net. Brooke McQuigg had great defense, and additional chances from Gardner helped Vancouver remain control heading into the 3rd. Ottawa really pushed and tried to capitalize and break through, but unfortunately they couldn't. So at the end of the day, the Golden Eyes managed to keep themselves loss-free at home.
Talk to me about the Jays and the trade they made.
So he didn't see a lot of action with the Jays that I recall, but it's a left-handed pitcher named Justin Broyle. They traded him to the Cleveland Guardians in exchange for cash consideration. He was DFA'd by the Jays on Monday after they agreed to terms with Tyler Rogers on a 3-year, $37 million deal. Apparently, he did play 15 games with Toronto this past season, but had a 5.27 ERA. So that's potentially one of the reasons why. He's a 20-year-old left-hander. He originally started playing with the LA Dodgers back in 2021. He's also played for the Rockies and Pirates.
Let's talk about the Raptors and Ingram.
So Ingram dropped 28 points. The Raptors managed to end their 4-game losing skid with a 106-96 win over the Heat. Miami lost forward Nikola Jovic to an elbow injury in the first quarter. He took a hard foul from Colin Murray Boyles while driving to the basket and fell to the floor 12 seconds after he entered the game. Scotty Barnes added 17 points and 10 rebounds, and Emmanuel quickly finished with 15 for the Raptors. They made 16 3-pointers, and I cashed in on their free fries because they made more than 12. So, yeah to the Raptors for that.
Good for them. Just more NBA news, and that is the New York Knicks won the NBA Cup. Something the Raptors look good for. Let's talk about tennis, and let's talk about Mboko getting a little attention and reward for a great season last year.
The Professional Women's Tennis Tour announced its year-end award recipients on Monday. That was unfortunately after we'd gone to air. Victoria Mboko was named the WTA's Newcomer of the Year. She raised her ranking from outside the top 300 to inside the top 20 after a really impressive 2025 season. She won the WTA 1000 National Bank Open in Montreal. She defeated 4 Grand Slam singles champions, including Naomi Osaka in the final, en route to her first title on the tour. She also won a WA title in Hong Kong in November, claimed 4 consecutive ITF World Tennis Tour titles earlier in the year, and advanced to the 3rd round at the French Open. She was named one of the ITF's 5 future stars and was recently hosted by Prime Minister Mark Carney on Parliament Hill. So congratulations to her on that.
Sans Stutzla now has 9 points in his last 4 games.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I did not quite realize exactly how awesome this kid was. But yeah, he's got 9 points in the last 4. Down 2-1 in the final moments of regulation with Linus Ullmark on the bench for an extra attacker. Jake Sanderson's shot from the point went off Mark Scheifele's stick. I don't know if you saw that, but it was hilarious because Scheifele's stick just exploded into the air. Tim Stützle got loose on a 2-on-1 with Brady Tkachuk. Everybody in Ottawa knows that Stützle is passing that to Tkachuk, and sure enough, he did, but he pounded it into the back of the net for them for the win. He had 3 assists on the evening to lead the offense, and 9 in his last 4. Right. Connor Heidelbach in his second game since coming off IR made 28 of 31 saves. He's been really, really good.
Draisaitl, 1,000 points.
Finally, he's been stuck at 999 for a while. He had 4 assists to become the fastest active player in NHL history to reach 1,000 career points. He actually hit the milestone in the first period on a secondary assist, becoming the 103rd player in NHL history and the first German-born player to reach 1,000. He ended the night with 1,003. Sidney Crosby also had an assist for Pittsburgh and moved within 1 point of tying Mario Lemieux at 1,722 points.
San Jose beats the Flames.
This was a pantsing. It did not end well. They scored in the first minute and 5 seconds of the game with John Klingberg on a one-timer past Wolf. They scored on a dump-in that deflected off the glass to Barclay Goodrow to capitalize and make it 2-0. But yeah, at the end of the first period, it was 3-2, and it looked like it was going to turn into a track meet. But at the end of the day, Celebrating was the difference. He had 4 points, 2 goals, and 2 assists.
Demko blanks the Rangers 3-0.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game. Made himself 23 stops. Evander Kane and Liam Ogren scored, and Thatcher Demko showed up huge. Connor Garland added the empty netter.
Good for them. Well, go Leafs, go.
Definitely.
That it's getting to that it's this Leaf fandom over the past 20 years has changed. They become more. They've been compelled to boo and to not put up with basically the kind of hockey they feel they should not see. If they've been sold a bill of goods, and they're there to collect in the stands. I kind of enjoy the fact that the fans are making the Leafs accountable. That's not a bad thing in my mind.
No, and everybody that says that we're bad fans because we're booing, believe it or not, sometimes the players actually need to hear it to realize that it ain't going as it should.
You're paying $350 to go to a hockey game. You want to see them try.
Just a little bit.
That's the issue. At the end of the day, you work really hard for your money. People work for a very long time to get tickets. Hard to get because they're so popular. But anyway, it is what it is. Aaron, thanks for doing this.
Not a problem, Frank. We'll see you Friday.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frankston. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.